く大体超 VTuber と DJ でげの D チュキです。はい、ゆきを continue ひぐらしのなく頃に解。Tsumihoroboshi編。Hopefully we can get through Yuki will go through chapter 8 at least. Unfortunately, Yuki could not go through chapter 8 yesterday, like originally planned, but we'll see how far we can. Well, I hope we can get through chapter 8 today. Well, that's the plan for today. So, okay. Oh yeah, that's the plan for today. We'll go through chapter 8 today, and I hope we can go to chapter 9. But I'm not gonna force my throat to get through chapter 9 if it's not gonna work out. So yeah, we'll get started now. Actually, let me just have a little bit of honey, and then we can get started. Okay. Hi, hello, chapter 7. And we went through this lovely hint yesterday, which was a lunch takeout list, except it wasn't, or most of it wasn't. Just the very end was. But yeah, we'll go through chapter 8 right now. About homing ability and homesickness. If you interpret homing ability in a broad sense, you can say that most animals have a homing ability. Comment. It's the same with humans. We like to sleep, eat, rest, and eat at a place where we feel comfortable, namely our homes. Your home is what nests are to animals. Therefore, we can say humans have a homing ability as well. First of all, why do animals need nests? The answer is the same for humans. Sleeping, resting, and eating are the essential actions for survival. At the same time, those actions leave one defenseless as well. That's why you need a safe area where you can be defenseless. Everybody knows that not having the safe area results in a high level of stress. When you move an animal to a new environment, it naturally becomes stressed. When you force a person to live in a foreign land where they aren't comfortable, they become greatly stressed as well. Everybody knows that this kind of stress is called homesickness. The Japanese don't know much about homesickness. We defined it as a mental weakness, and we neglected it. We neglected to treat it for a long period of time. However, homesickness has a very long history in Europe's Middle Ages. People believed it that it wasn't a mental, but rather physical disease. People also believe that out of everyone, the Swiss got the disease the most. The Swiss, you see, were known to be an ethnic group that worked away from home in that era. They worked far away from their homes. There were no telephones at the time, so they couldn't even hear their families' voices for ages and ages. It's easy to imagine that the young Swiss workers got homesick while working in a strange land. These Swiss who got homesick wanted to go home, but they couldn't because of their jobs. The conflict made them weak physically and mentally. Some of them went crazy and tried to escape from the reality by committing suicide or running away. The Swiss at the time were very superstitious, and many folk remedies and occult-like treatments to prevent homesickness went around. Since going home was the only treatment, they must have called it a fatal disease. But it really was it isn't really one, of course. Specifically, homesickness is a sign of that human homing instinct. Your brain desires to go back to your safe area, namely your home. At first, your brain makes you remember the happy memories of your home, and it urges you to go home in a natural way. But when reason stops you from achieving your desire, your brain starts sending unnatural signals to your body. As a result, your body gets weak, and that's what makes it more difficult for you to live in a strange land. In the end, you have to bend reason in order to achieve your desire to go home. So, homesickness is born from our homing instincts. And the stronger one's homing instinct is, the stronger their homesickness. The strength of that homing instinct varies from individual to individual, and depends on the environment in which those individuals live. When your home is safe and the environment you live in is dangerous, your homing instinct becomes stronger. On the other hand, when the environment you live in is safer than your homing instinct becomes very weak. Safety isn't an only element that affects its strength. Cultural aspects affect it too. The many customs demanding families to return home for major events varies with each region. So your birthplace culture also alters the strength of your homing instinct. Amongst those regions, the transcendents of Onigafuchi village were believed to have an excessively strong homing instinct. The people of Onigafuchi forbade their fellows from ever leaving. Many believe that this was an effect of the elitism and the sense of purity I already mentioned before. People today still strongly believe that Oyashiro-sama puts his curse on you if you break his rule and abandon the village. The superstition can be interpreted as homesickness. If homesickness is directly proportional to one's homing instinct, then the exaggerated expression curse would signify the strength of that homesickness and also their homing instinct. I can assume that they hated the outside world and created an insular society precisely because of their powerful homing ability. Unfortunately, there's no way to measure the strength of the homing ability that the primitive people of Onigafuchi had. It was so strongly forbidden to leave the village that nobody left long enough to get homesick. However, after the Meiji era, things changed. The sacredness of Onigafuchi dwindled with efforts of modernization. Many people started longing for city life, and some people were forced to leave the village to get a job. As a result, villagers started venturing outside the village borders. That's when the transcendents of Onigafuchi realized how strong their homing ability was for the first time. The residents of Hinamizawa got extremely homesick. After a while, people called this homesickness the curse of Oyashiro-sama. It became rumored that a person who left the village to get a job in a strange land was cursed, that he went crazy and died, and people who left the village started coming back to either it or the nearby town. Their homesickness and their homing ability were very strong because of their culture. It's reasonable to think that these were cultivated by the unique religion of Hinamizawa, namely the cult of Oyashiro-sama. From the moment they were born, they were taught the rules of Oyashiro-sama. They must have felt guilty about leaving the village unconsciously. As a result, they considered their own homesickness to be the curse of Oyashiro-sama. I'm not sure if their homesickness got stronger because of the rules of Oyashiro-sama, or if they made the rules of Oyashiro-sama because their homesickness got stronger. I don't know which came first. I got tired of reading such small print and lay down on the floor on my back. The true identity of the curse of Oyashiro-sama is homesickness? Mio-san believed my story, and she let me read these scrapbooks. That's why I expected to find something interesting. But what it's saying is that the answer to all of it is homesickness, which many doctors told me so many times at counseling. I'm a little upset. The word homesickness can't explain the extraordinary experience I had. I saw Oyashiro-sama come down to me from a bright light in the bathroom. I saw the dusky red, nasty maggots come out of my blood vessels. This scrapbook doesn't explain any of that. I don't know how Mio-san was going to explain the cloud of maggots. Maybe she didn't have any explanation for that to begin with. Was it just a delusion? I flipped through one of the other scrapbooks Mio-san let me borrow, looking for an explanation of the maggots I saw. Then, I found it. It had the exact title I was looking for. About maggots and the curse of Oyashiro-sama. In the Meiji era, a group of villagers were on their way back to Hinamizawa, and they started discussing a rumor about a weird disease. They said that maggots started crawling out of the wounds of a person who left Hinamizawa, and that the maggots ate the person's body from the inside. The Shinto priest of the Furude shrine at the time explained that the weird disease was a sign of the curse of Oyashiro-sama. According to the tradition, the Shinto priest showed villagers an ancient scroll, and he told them that the story of the maggots had been passed down through the ages. This is what the scroll said. The world where the demons came from must be interpreted as the land of death. And the demons in that land of death had to live their lives while being eaten by maggots. The villagers who were of the demon's blood had nothing to worry about as long as they had lived in Hinamizawa under the protection of Oyashiro-sama. But once they left Hinamizawa, abandoning that protection, the maggots that had been sleeping in the blood of the demons would start to awaken, and they'd eat their bodies from inside out. This maggot disease scared the villagers for a while, and they asked the shrine to provide them with protective talismans whenever they had to leave the village. This is interesting, as it's similar to the way homesickness was dealt with by the Swiss in the Middle Ages. After the war started, the delusions of the maggot disease faded away, but there remain accustomed to send talismans to families that live away from Hinamizawa. The talisman had the word maggot on them, but the most interesting part about it was that the residents of Hinamizawa didn't know about the maggot disease until the rumors began. Uji. Uji. I thought that their unconscious worship made those people think of homesickness as a curse. So the case of the previously unknown maggot disease directly contradicted the research I had done so far. It's natural to think that a group of people who were on the way back to the village were lost in a mass delusion because they strongly believe in the curse, and that the Shinto priest took advantage of their state of panic to instill a deeper faith in them. But I'm not fully convinced that it was merely a coincidence. That this is a mass delusion match with the story in the old picture skull. I wonder if it's possible to see maggots in a wound without having the prerequisite knowledge when a person is cursed by Oyashiro-sama. I wish Oyashiro-sama would put his curse on somebody I could study. I'd love to see these maggots come out of someone. I felt as if Mio-san was here and making that request to me. I remember. When she gave me the scrapbooks, she said that I might be the only one who could understand them. I felt good just for a moment, because I found out that the maggots weren't a delusion. But at the same time, it destroyed my excuse that it was a delusion. The maggots weren't a delusion. They were there. All of a sudden, my wrists, elbows, inner thighs, and neck started itching. I felt the urge to cut open a blood vessel, but I quietly held it down. I remember that Mio-san looked very serious when I talked about the maggots. She must have thought it was creepy. But so did I. While I was crying because nobody believed me, a part of me didn't want to believe that my body was filled with those creepy things. I think a part of me wanted to believe it was a delusion. But now I know it isn't. It wasn't a delusion. There are some people who had the same experience. Maggots in the demon's blood will awaken when you lose the protection of Oyashiro-sama. In other words, he might not awaken under the protection of Oyashiro-sama, but all of the villagers still have the maggots in them without knowing it. People of the demon's blood are people who have the creepy maggots in their bodies. I try not to jump to conclusions and flip the pages again. I can unconsciously look for something related to maggots. About parasites and the control of the host. The maggot disease made me think about something. Is it possible that the extremely strong homesickness of Oyashiro-sama was an infectious disease caused by some kind of parasite? I'm not trying to connect the maggots they saw with parasites. I'm trying to think about the possibility that their culture, their religion, might be associated with an infectious disease. Many infectious diseases are caused unintentionally by parasites. A parasite's host is literally its home. It wants to live within the host's body as long as it can. The best way to do that is to coexist with the host without the host knowing. But some parasites try to control their host and use them for prosperity. For example, some parasites have an ability to control their host in order to force them to be eaten by a superior host. A typical example is the Dicrocolinium dentri- dendriticum. It uses snails or ants as intermediate hosts. It then forces them to move to the upper side of vegetation so that it's easier for a superior host to consume it. Oh, I think I've heard about that before. The one parasite that controls more complicated animals is called Toxoplasma gondii. It uses mice as intermediate hosts, with the superior host being cats. This parasite makes a mouse lose fear of cats in order to increase its chance of getting in, so that the parasite can live in the cat within the cat instead. Wait, I heard of that one also. I heard of those two before. Oh, shit. Okay. I mean, it's a scientific term, so that would, I guess, make sense. It's in Romaji. There are parasites that choose hosts at random. The rabies virus is commonly known for that. It lives and breeds in the brain of the host and moves into a host's saliva through the salivary glands. It makes the host very aggressive in order to make it bite things randomly, so that it can move into another host through the saliva. That's what rabies does. Many parasites have a similar ability to control hosts to their benefit. The examples I use above are about parasites that move into another host to prosper. But I think there must be some kind of parasite that controls its host in order to have a comfortable environment in which to live. I want to try to connect this theory to the abnormal homing ability and homesickness of the Onigafuchi residents. Let's say there is some kind of parasite that exists in Hinamizawa and lives within all of the villagers' bodies. For the parasite, Hinamizawa is the most comfortable environment to live in, so it gives the host a strong homing ability in order to make them stay in Hinamizawa. Furthermore, it causes the host to get homesick whenever they ignore this homing ability and try to leave. Parasites need hosts in which to live. It's convenient for them if their hosts build a community in the environment where it feels comfortable. This theory makes it easier for me to explain the mysteries I described earlier. The transcendents of Onigafuchi knew about the existence of this parasite. They knew that, as the hosts of the parasites, they couldn't live outside of the village. That's why they created culture and rules that prohibited contact with the outside world. It also explains why people acted so abnormal during the dam conflict. So, the demons that came out of the swamp in the legend of Oyashiro-sama can be interpreted as the mass spread of the parasite. The story about the demons attacking the villagers must be a metaphor for the behavior of the infected villagers who are controlled by the parasite. This theory is too crazy. I should have laughed about it, but I felt bad for Mio-san, so I decided not to. Hinamizawa is controlled by a parasite? You could use that theory to explain how the maggots came out of me. I felt a little dizzy, so I was so confused, and a part of me thought it was ridiculous. And the other part of me thought it was more convincing than any other curse. But Mio-san was probably erased because she wrote these scrapbooks. If so, the contents of the scrapbooks must be something that they can't ignore. They try to get all of her scrapbooks and consign them to oblivion. What if they noticed some of her scrapbooks were missing? I felt a chill running through my spine. I have to keep it a secret that I have these scrapbooks, and that I'll have to try to understand more about their contents. I remember Mio-san telling me that the three families are behind the series of the mysterious deaths, and they're trying to resurrect the cult of Oyashiro-sama. According to the theory I just read, the parasite must be trying to maintain the current environment of Hinamizawa. The healthiest environment for it is a completely closed village, just like the primitive Onigafuchi. It must be very comfortable for the parasite if no hosts go outside the village. They don't even like that villagers often leave the village to go shopping. That means the parasite would try to goad the host into resurrecting the cult of Oyashiro-sama. I remember there's an article in the scrapbook saying that the demon's blood runs thickest in the three families. That would mean they have a larger amount of the parasite in them than the other villagers, and they're under its control. The three families seem to be planning to bring the village back to the Onigafuchi era. Reviving the Watanagashi festival after the dam conflict can be interpreted as their desire to revive the faith that had started to fade away in the Meiji era. The three families, especially the Sonozaki family, have a great influence over the region and the public organizations. What's going on here? I thought this to be a poorly written theory, but the pieces fit together, one after another. I've never played a jigsaw puzzle as crazy as this. I felt my brain swirling because, due to this absurd theory, a part of me thought that this was ridiculous. Another part of me thought I might about to expose an unbelievable truth. When I tried to look into the center of it, I felt as if I was going to fall into the whirlpool and drown. I'll have to devote myself to reading more seriously. There must be some truth to this. It caused misfortune and made my life miserable after I moved to Ibaraki. I might be able to find the truth, including the cause of my parents' divorce and my despicable behavior. Right then, I heard a knock on the door all of a sudden, scaring me. I hid the scrapbooks under a cushion. Reina, you have a phone call. A phone call? This late? Who is it? It's from a bookstore. Did you order some books? They said they were Oishi-san. They were Oishi-san from the Okinomiya bookstore. Oh. Oh. Oishi-san. Not very oishi. I opened the windows, but all they let in was the heat and the cries of the cicadas. Oh, it's too hot. It really is. It was break time between classes, but we couldn't really get any rest. Mian and I leaned on our desks, exhausted by the heat. The younger kids sure are tough, considering how the heat wasn't bothering them at all. They were wandering around the classroom despite the temperature. The schools in the city have air conditioning in their classrooms? Oh, no, they don't. Only the teacher's office gets to have air conditioning. Wow, that's better than nothing. If I were a student at a school like that, I'd attack the teachers and take over their office. You'd be the first student ever to do that. I didn't even have the energy to laugh. Mian and I stopped talking and used our notebooks to fan ourselves. I looked at the empty seat nearby. It was Rena's. Rena didn't come to school today. She called and told Chie Sensei that she couldn't come because she's sick. Rena seems to be feeling down these days. Yeah, she probably got tired from the heat. Do you really think that's the reason? Yeah, why? I think it's the incident. Maybe. It's probably both that and summer heat. I can't even imagine how distressing it was for her to commit a murder, dismember the bodies, and then get caught by her friends. We took each other's hands at that place, and we united. All of us believed that we had closed the case there and had regained our peace. But was it that easy for Dana as it was for us? She must have not quite recovered yet. This old man thought she'd get over it if she played along with us. But I guess her pain ran deeper than I thought. What should we do to cheer her up? It's best to just leave her alone, I think. Hey, are you sure about that? We're her friends, you know. Well, it's like homesickness, you know. You get lonely and you wanna call home just to hear mom's voice. But that actually makes your homesickness worse. When you're feeling lonely, the best thing to do is to devote yourself to sports or something like that for a change. I want her to do club activities with us, but she just doesn't want to. I don't know about her, but people usually have a desire to depend on somebody. If you want to depend on somebody who supports you and sympathizes with you, haven't you ever had that experience? Haven't you ever experienced that feeling when you can't stop depending on somebody when they try to cheer you up? Well, I don't know. Completely depending on somebody means trying to earn even deeper sympathy from them. And at that point, even though you're trying to comfort them, they just slip further and further into depression. By finding initial success through relying on somebody and receiving comfort, they grow addicted and indulging in misfortune. I think Jaina knows that too. That's why she wants to be alone right now. If she wanted to depend on us or get comfort from us, all she'd have to do is stay with us and cry all the time. So, how can we cheer her up? I think she'd appreciate it more if you try to help her forget the pain Then if you try to cheer up, don't comfort her and don't cheer her up. There's nothing I can do, is there? That's the golden rule for psychologists. Did you know? Mental trauma can only be healed by the person who has it. If somebody else helps a person out of their mental trauma, even if they succeed, that person wouldn't be completely healed. So all we can do now is wait for Reina until Reina heals on her own. I understand the idea, but I just don't like how cold it sounds. I cast my hands behind my back, looking into the ceiling. Mion laughed. Reina will be fine, as long as she has someone like you to worry about. I'm sure she can pull herself together. So, all I need to do is to be close to her. I don't know about that.
There's something you can do, Katie.
Rika spoke up. I wonder how long she's been listening to our conversation. What is it?
You can listen to her when she wants to talk to somebody.
Is that all? I just listen and I don't need to make her feel better? Kei-chan, people feel better just by talking to somebody. Sometimes all they need is someone who does nothing but listen quietly.
Just like me said, I think it's important for us, as her friends, to be there for whenever she wants to talk to somebody.
Mion and Rika-chan were absolutely right. I was gonna pat Rena on her shoulder and tell her to cheer up when I see her next time, but I know that would have been one-sided on my part. Rena doesn't want to feel down herself. She wants to cheer up if possible. If I cheered her up irresponsibly, she'd be very disappointed because she'd think I didn't understand her pain. You're right. I guess I wasn't even trying to understand how she felt. I wanted to cheer her up, but I now know that that's just what I wanted to do, not what she wanted me to do. Thanks, you two. I think I finally understand. On that day, I thought I cheered her up, but I started to doubt if I reached her heart. I might have just been dragging her someplace where I wanted her to go. I wasn't on her side in the real sense of the term. All of a sudden, Rika-chan petted my head.
Don't worry. We all know that you're on her side.
What? What? Did I say something out loud again? It did reach her heart. Kei-chan, you really did give her great strength on that day. Well, now that I think about it, what you said on that day was more than a little theatrical. We heard the footsteps from the hallway, and everyone started to head back to their seats. Take your seats, everybody. Listen, if you would.
All rise!
We didn't have a club meeting that day because Rena wasn't around. It worked out for me because I had an errand to run. It wasn't a big errand. My mom wanted me to use her card point to get some detergent. Her point card to get some detergent. I didn't see the point of going all the way to the store just to get detergent. But my mom told me to go because she's busy helping my dad with his work. We started walking towards the shopping center. I noticed somebody watching me, hiding behind a distant tree. I wonder who would do such a mischievous thing. I stared at them to find out who it was, at which point they emerged. Oh, Rena, are you feeling better now? I was about to say that, but I swallowed my words. Somehow, Rena looked very serious. What's going on? Shh. Rena put her index finger to her lips, told me to be quiet, looked around carefully, and beckoned for me to come over. I had no idea what was going on, but I followed her instructions, shut my mouth, and ran to her. Rena gestured for me to squat down to hide in the shadow of the bush. I didn't know why I had to do that, but I could ask her the question later. I just followed her orders for now. Rena looked at me. Rena looked like she was trying to make sure no one was following her. It was Mion. If it was Mion, she'd do something like this just to fool me as a joke. But I know now, Rena doesn't do things like that for fun. I had no idea what kind of situation I'd gotten myself into, but I could feel how tense it was, and I made myself as small as I could.
Good. It's okay now. I'm sorry.
The tone of her voice made me relax a little. Phew, what's going on?
I think someone has been following me.
What? Who would follow her? I thought about it. When I thought about it, I realized how stupid the question was. Is it the police? Mamiya Rina and Hojo Tepe. Two people disappeared. Even though they were awful human beings, the police have to investigate if they found out that they gone missing. It probably wouldn't be difficult to find out. Rina had been to Rena's house, but it should be okay. As long as they don't find those bags, it should be okay.
I don't know if it's the police or not, but I feel like somebody has been watching me since the night of Watanagashi.
What do you mean? Once I asked that question, Rena stared at me directly with a blank expression. Her eyes looked as though they were evaluating me. She stared at me as if she was assessing whether I was worth talking to about something very important. Rena squeezed her own wrist tightly, then started talking with a whisper.
I can tell you what's going on, but can you keep it a secret?
Yeah, of course I can. If you want me to keep it a secret, I won't tell anyone.
Okay, I trust you.
She smiled and looked around one more time.
They might be looking for Mio-san's scrapbooks.
Mio-san? Oh, the nurse? Meet Takano-san? What about her scrapbooks?
The police are keeping the investigation under wraps, so I'm sure you don't know. Takano Mio-san was murdered.
What? When?
She told me to be
quiet again. I lowered my voice and let her continue.
On the night of Watanagashi, we met Mio-san and Tomitake-san, didn't we? They were attacked after that. Tomitake-san was cursed by Oyashiro-sama. He clawed out his throat and died. Mio-san was burned to death in the mountains of Gifu Prefecture.
Is that true? I mean, nobody told me about that.
I know. That's because the police haven't disclosed their investigation. These cases make the fifth of the series of mysterious deaths. So the police have decided not to go public yet.
I see. I understand why the police are keeping quiet about it, but then, where did you hear about this?
Can you keep it a secret? I've been in contact with Oishi-san. He's a detective from the Okinomiya Police Department. He told me about the case.
Why did he tell you?
I don't know.
He said he told me because he could trust me. I was dumbfounded to hear all of this. But I knew she wasn't lying. If it was Mion, she'd be sticking her tongue out by now. But then I wouldn't make a joke out of something like this.
I think the reason why Mio-san was murdered is because of her research. Do you know she was doing ethnological research by studying the history of this village?
I have heard something along those lines. Takano-san was interested in the cult and mysterious things. I remember Mion once told me that she was studying the village legends of the man-eating demons out of curiosity.
I think she discovered a very important secret about this village through her studies. Or maybe she wasn't even close to the truth, but they thought she was.
Wait a second. What's the secret of the village you're talking about?
I just read a few pages of her scrapbook. But those were the ones that she was handling with extra caution. So I think there are very important things written in them. I think about 80% of what Mio-san was trying to uncover. But if it's true, it's almost too crazy to believe. Right now, I'm trying to find out whether Mio-san's theory is right or not.
So what is it? What's the secret of this village? What could be so important that you might get killed just knowing about it? I guess the moment of those words left my mouth. If Rena told me, I might get killed too.
I don't want to tell you yet, but I promise I will once I verify things. Because it's really crazy too. Too crazy to be true.
What do you mean? You have to verify? What do you mean you have to verify things?
For example, I myself serve as verification that the maggot disease can occur without any background knowledge. But there are a lot of things I still need to verify. They sound too crazy to be true, and I can hardly believe if I don't verify that they are.
Maggots? I was totally lost now. And I wanted to ask her questions, but I decided not to cut in. It was so hot outside. But Rena held her arms as if she was cold. Rena, I'm always on your side. You can trust me.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
From her expression alone, I could tell that she really meant it. I could also tell that she was involved in something very big, and that she felt lonely because she couldn't tell anyone else about it. I had to be by her side when she was going through a difficult time.
You shouldn't tell anybody that you met me here today. They might try to hurt you if they found out.
Okay. Isn't there anything I can do to help?
Not right now, but it's very reassuring that I can ask you for your help when I need it. I'll depend on you someday.
Yeah, anytime.
Shh, a car's coming.
You're gonna push my head into the bush. I went along with it and crouched down even lower in the bushes. We stayed quiet for a while. I could hear a car coming closer, and after a while, a white van passed by. I was surprised at her hearing. She heard the car coming when it was still far off in the distance.
Did you see its license plate number?
What? No, I'm sorry. I didn't.
I couldn't either, but I think it's the same car I saw earlier.
Are they the ones following you?
I think so. It passed me so many times today in the street, where nobody usually drives. I hit every time, but it's strange.
Are they the ones? Are they the ones who killed Takano-san and Tomitake-san? Are they looking for the scrapbooks you have?
Most likely, yes.
I don't blame her for not being able to believe. I don't blame her for not being able to believe what's going on, because this is really crazy. Takano-san's uncovered something really significant through her studies. The people who want that information hidden found out about it. They cursed her on the night of Watanagashi, copying the curse over Yashiro-sama. They're looking for the scrapbooks, the fruit of her research, and Rena has them. That's why they're trying to kill Rena? What about your house?
It's safe there. I hid the scrapbooks in my secret hideout in that garbage dump. I'm worried about my father, but he'll be fine cause he doesn't really know anything. It's written on your face, Keiichi-kun. It's his. I can't believe it because it sounds too crazy to be true. Am I right?
I wanted to deny it, but it felt bad to lie. I remained silent in the affirmative.
Well, that's a normal reaction. I couldn't believe any of it when I read the first scrapbook. I finally started seeing the connections after reading all of them.
I'm sorry. I do want to help you, but I just don't know how. If I don't see the whole picture of what's going on.
If I tell you, it might put you in danger.
You're already in danger, right? I don't mind. Don't worry about me.
Okay, I'll tell you then. It's probably the three families who killed Mio-san and Tomitake-san. To be more specific, it's the Sonozaki family, Mi-chan's family.
Why?
You know about the series of mysterious deaths, right?
Of course. The traders of the damn conflict die every year, right?
The series of mysterious deaths is like a resolution of the damn conflict. They're trying to end the damn conflict in the true sense of the term by erasing people who had betrayed the village.
It does look like that in a way. Nobody says out loud, but everybody's suspicious of the Sonozaki family. That's what I've heard.
But if they really wanted to erase the traitors, they wouldn't have to do it in the night of Watanaga. They wouldn't have to do it on the night of Watanagashi. Why would they kill them all at once instead of killing them one by one using the curse and deeming
and deeming them away every year. Would that make more sense?
Oh, using the curse and demoning them away every year. Wouldn't that make more sense?
I've never heard the words demoning away before, but Rena clearly thought they must have some kind of creepy, significant meaning, where I decided not to cut in.
That means that they're using the series of mysterious deaths in order to resurrect the sacredness of the Watanagashi festival. Step by step, they're reviving the sacred nature of Onigafuchi that was lost in the Meiji era. Their goal is to revive the level of belief in Oyashizo-sama that used to exist in primitive times.
Belief in Oyashiro-sama. Are you talking about the Furude shrine?
Yes. Do you think people revere the Furude shrine now? Older people respect the shrine, but that's it. Kids think it's a place to play, and most of the villagers think of it as a place to gather for local events. Its sacredness has been lost. But with the dam conflict, it started to revive. And they look at it as a good opportunity to bring back the cult of Oyashiro-sama.
So, you're saying that some fanatical Oyashiro-sama worshippers are behind all this?
That's what I'm saying. The cult of Oyashiro-sama was managed by the three families to begin with. The three families passed down their ultimate goal of reviving the cult of Oyashiro-sama down to the present generation. When you think about it, you'll understand why the three families took the initiative in uniting the villagers during the dam conflict, and why they set up the Onigafuchi Guardian's office in the Furude Shrine, citing Oyashiro-sama, who was almost forgotten at the time.
So, the three families, the fanatical Oyashiro-sama worshippers, constructed the series of the mysterious deaths of Hinamizawa. But, wait, why would they kill Takano-san?
Because she discovered the important secret of this village. The three families have been hiding it since the area of Onigafuchi. If that secret is revealed, the sacredness of Oyashiro-sama will be lost. If they found out that Mio-san was getting close to the secret, and that's why they killed her.
What's this important secret? I don't care if I'm putting myself into danger. I need to know.
I don't want to tell you yet. I don't want to tell you until I'm 100% sure about it. I'm pretty sure that right now you'd just laugh.
Hey, you think I'm not that kind of guy?
I just need a little more time. I can't accept the truth myself, because it sounds so impossible. So I need some time, please.
I understand.
Don't tell anybody what we talk about today. Not even me-chan, Rika-chan, or Satoko-chan.
Okay.
Well, you should go now. I'll take a look around for a while before I go home. I can't be too careful anymore.
Then I ducked low in the bushes and moved away. I was left alone there. The cries of the cicadas surrounded me, making it seem as if I was alone there the whole time. I started walking, still dumbfounded. In the end, Lena didn't tell me about the secret because she was afraid of putting me in danger. But she told me clearly that there are people who want to resurrect the cult of Oyashiro-sama, and that they're among the three families that control the entire village. They orchestrated the series of mysterious deaths for that purpose, and they killed Takano-san because she got too close to the secret they wanted to hide. Rena met Takano-san and happened to obtain scrapbooks in which Takano-san wrote about her research. Rena still can't believe that the secret written in the scrapbooks because it was just too crazy. Hey, come on, Rena. You're kidding me, right? It's like one of those comic book stories. A mysterious occult group is plotting a conspiracy. I mean, it's not even funny, even if it's a joke. But Rena was right about one thing. Even if this was true, it's really hard to believe. I understand why Rena wanted to wait to tell me the secret. Maybe she was just fooled by Takano-san, but Takano-san was murdered for real, so it has to be true that so is it true that someone is following Rena looking for the scrapbooks? I remember. Rena said that a white van was following her. You can see white vans anywhere. I bet there are a lot in this village alone. She might be oversensitive to everything right now. Rena hasn't recovered from the shock since that day. That's probably why she got that idea on her head. That's the place where someone else is after her. I didn't cut in while she was talking. I think I did the right thing. If I had said that it was ridiculous or something to her face, Rena wouldn't have trusted me ever again. At that point, however, I guess. A white van was parked on the side of the street. I wasn't sure if that was the same car that passed here, since I didn't see the plate number, but the number of people in the car and the ambience of it was similar to the one earlier. There's also one other thing that looks suspicious about it. There was no reason to park here. It was on a small road in the middle of the woods. There's nothing around here. No traffic lights, no vending machines, no public phones. I probably wouldn't have noticed it under ordinary circumstances, but I felt something was wrong. And once I noticed how odd it was, I was definitely suspicious. There were 4 men in work uniforms in a white van. The driver was smoking a cigarette, but the other men were just sitting around doing nothing. If they wanted to take a break or have a smoke, they would have chosen a better place than here. Was it possible that they stopped because they had to go to the bathroom really badly? But it didn't seem that way either. They didn't as comfortable or relaxed as they would if they were taking a break. It looked like they were waiting for something to happen. There was a deep tension in the car. Could they be possibly waiting for dinner? No way. I didn't see anybody walking around here. This road is a back road. Nobody really uses this road, let alone a car. But it's impossible. I felt bad for Rina to even think about it, but this must be something that she got into her head because she's feeling victimized or something. She must be imagining things because she's still nervous from when her friends caught her in the act of killing Rina and Teppe. Hey, young man. I heard somebody say that when I passed by the van. It couldn't mean me. He didn't even know who I was. So I assume he was talking to another person in the car. And I kept walking by. And then he said it again. And then honking his horn as well. Hey, young man, excuse me. Are you on your way home from school? Stranger danger! He had a strong accent, similar to that of the older villagers. He must live here, but I didn't know him. I could tell he didn't know me either because he didn't call me by name. Yes, I am. You've been walking on this road all the way from school, right? You turned the corner where the stationery store is, right? Right? Yeah. So they were probably lost, I thought. This village has so many small turns, and you could easily get lost when you try to take a shortcut. So they must have been waiting for someone to ask for directions, but then he said something disturbing. Young man, did you see a girl on the way here? Huh? What? A girl with a white hat and in white clothes, with a purple ribbon in it. Did you see her? They were definitely talking about Rena. No, I didn't. I wasn't ready to hear them ask that. Rather, I was scared. That's why my voice got all shaky, up until the point I couldn't believe it in the story. I thought it was ridiculous. I actually laughed, if only to myself. That's why I wasn't ready at all. My heart was beating so fast, and I was sweating all over. I immediately answered, no, I didn't, but it might have sounded like an obvious lie. The driver stared into my eyes. He looked like he was trying to figure out if I was lying or not, and my legs started to shake. I felt like a frog under the glare of a snake, and I couldn't move a muscle for a while. But I think the same went for those men too. They were clearly a suspicious group, and they had just asked a villager about a girl out of the blue. Stranger! Anyone would get suspicious. And I was right. The man broke the ice and started making excuses before I even asked him why he wanted to know about the girl. Well, I was asking for no particular reason. We just happened to pass by a girl earlier, but you're a boy, so we were just wondering. Okay. Please forget it. Sorry to trouble you, young man. We're off. The man started the engine and drove away. After they left, I saw nothing. That's right, nothing. There's no reason why they had to park here. So, were they really raiding for Rina? Oh, scary, creepy. Lunch takeout list number 2. Ade, mystery machine. Be drawn further into the conspiracy. Hi, lunch takeout 2. Furthermore, it's more important that we closely monitor her father, since he also suffered mental shock from the divorce and has been trying hard to take care of the patient. There's a strong possibility that he may develop an induced delusional disorder. As a first step of mental care, one should listen to the patient's story carefully without denying it. That's the most basic of basics. However, when that patient and the listener are related, it's easy for the listener to become deeply influenced by the patient's delusions. And additionally, delusional parasitosis is widely known to make people highly impressionable, and they influence somebody throughout the Therefore, even if several people claim to acquire parasitic infection, it doesn't necessarily prove the existence of a parasite. Some of the phone calls to the healthcare centers for the extermination of pests are nothing but a mass delusion, since the subject matter of the delusion in this case is extremely rabid. The patients might harm or even kill each other in abnormal ways, believing this to be the treatment of the disease. They might also give up hope and commit suicide together in the worst case. This influential delusional disorder, otherwise known as shared psychotic disorder, shows a particularly strong possibility of influencing close companions. Anyone who is going to contact the patients must be made to understand that the patients are under medical treatment and must be warned not to be influenced by the patient's delusions. Individuals who are likely to be easily influenced are the patient's family members, the people who deeply care about the patient, such as boyfriends or girlfriends. There was no lunch list on that one. I mean, I guess it was part of that. It was part of that first lunch or note, the first notes on the lunch with the lunch list. Okay, that was chapter chapter 8. Let's save that. I think we can go to chapter 9. Yay, we go to chapter 9. Let me just have some honey and then we can continue. Okay, let's go start. Hi. I should apologize, Dana. I don't think I believed you. I'm really sorry about that.
It's okay, Katie-kun. I'm just glad you didn't get caught.
Who are they? Are they pawns of those religious fanatics who are trying to revive the cult of Oyashido-sama?
I think they don't realize they were pawns. But I'm sure the masterminds are using them as such. They must be the ones who have been pulling the strings behind the scenes ever since the damn conflict.
I heard that people working for the Sonosaki family did something similar during the damn conflict itself.
Yes, everybody knows that. Oishi-san told me that. There was a kidnapping incident during the damn conflict. The case hasn't been disclosed to the public, but anyway, someone kidnapped the grandson of the Minister of Construction and coerced the minister into promising to put a halt to the damn construction. The grandson of the minister was kidnapped? Hey, I've never heard about that before. The minister submitted... Hold on. Okay. The minister submitted to their demands and they made the deal behind the scenes. That's why the incident never became public. Oishi-san only knows about it because he was in charge of the case. Okay, and... According to Oishi-san, between kidnapping the minister's grandson and blackmailing him, their tactics were frighteningly advanced. The police know that the Sonozaki family gave the orders to the kidnappers, but the case still remains unsolved. At the time, the head of the Sonozaki family, Oryo, had announced a plan to fight against the dam project by force. She even formed a special attack corps using the Yakuza group that's under the Sonozaki family's command. She was very serious about this plan to put the Ministry of Construction down by brute force if she couldn't stop the construction.
Everyone knows that the Sonozaki family had tried to stop the dam project even if it meant breaking the law. So I wasn't surprised to hear that she had a dangerous plan like that. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Mion who came up with this idea. The plan sounded just like her.
In the end, the plan ended up as nothing more than that. But the Special Attack Corps actually did undergo training, and a very high-level training at that.
Oishi had uncovered the information right after the dam conflict ended. In the time, Oryo even said that if the village was going to be submerged, all the members of the Onigafuji Guardians would stay in their houses and drown. So because Oryo was behind those things, I couldn't just laugh off the idea of an armed assault on the Ministry of Construction. According to information Oishi sees, she planned a suicide mission as a last resort when the dam conflict started to heat up. In the case the resistance wasn't successful, she had to actually obtain weapons and put people through training for the sake of that plan. The Special Attack Corps were flown to America, having received a huge amount of money from Odio for the operation. In the southern desert of the United States, some retired military soldiers gave them highly professional training. While the plan was never carried out, the Special Attack Corps became a death squad under the direct control of Odio after they came back from America. They were involved in many unsolved terrorist incidents, and they succeeded in kidnapping the grandson of the minister as well. It sounds like it's from a movie or something.
Do you remember what Mi-chan said? Do you remember how Mi-chan said that she could do anything, from flying helicopters to using wireless radios? It's actually all true. It seems like Mi-chan joined their training.
Mion went overseas? Oh, Mion went to America? So it was all true?
Well, let's put that aside for now. Anyway, you have to at least believe that the Death Squad actually exists in Namizawa, and they're capable of kidnapping the grandson of a government minister.
I didn't have a close look at the four men in the white van today, but thinking about it, they did look professional in a way. They were pretending to just take a break, but I could tell they were tense the whole time. So, are they trying to kill you?
I don't think so. If they really wanted to kill me, I'd be dead already.
So, what do they want? Are they after Hakuno-san's scrapbooks?
Like you saw yourself, the group is very cautious. Unless we show them an opening, they won't resort to force. If they were the type to use force outright, they could have attacked me in my sleep. They haven't done it yet, so that must mean they're taking it cautiously. They're probably not sure that I have the scrapbooks. They killed Mio-san and tried to dispose of them. But they found out that the most important ones were missing. They thought she gave them to someone because she knew her life was in danger. Now they think I'm the only one who has them. Now they think I'm the one who has them. But they're not sure, so they can't resort to violence.
You know, it sounds like you're playing a dangerous game.
Yeah, I'm a bit scared. But they won't be able to erase me so easily. After all, I'm cooperating with Oishi-san. I've been frequently contacting him in case something happens.
What did he say about them?
He said to keep an eye on the Sonozaki family so that he could catch them right away if they were working behind the scenes.
Did you tell him about the scrapbooks?
No, I didn't.
I think you should. He's an officer. I'm sure the police would help you.
Keiichi-kun, I can't even tell you the secret of this village because I'm not sure you would believe me. I don't think Oishi-san would believe me if I told him any of this.
You know, let's not make it any more confusing than it is already. Just tell me, what is it? What's written in the scrapbooks? What's the secret that killed Mio-san?
Simply put, if the things written in the scrapbooks are true, the god they worship will be dethroned.
Their god dethroned?
Yes. The sanctity of Oyashiro-sama will be lost. That's why they want to conceal the truth. They want to resurrect people's belief in Oyashiro-sama.
Nena, can you explain it a little bit more simply than that? I'm confused.
In other words, Oyashiro-sama isn't a god.
He isn't? I had no idea what she read that made her so certain. But whatever it was, it'd be sacrilegious for people who believe so strongly in Oyashiro-sama.
There are many teachings of Oyashiro-sama, but the essence is as follows. Don't leave the village and don't let anyone into the village. One can even say that the rest of his teachings were developed to maintain those two fundamentals. It really wasn't until later that they added aspects like love your neighbor or viewing him as a god of marriage and domestic prosperity. In other words, Oyashiro-sama existed solely to stop the villagers from going outside the village. Oyashiro-sama doesn't bless the villagers or protect them from disasters. The people believe that Oyashiro-sama does all that for them, but the truth is that the people bruise his name for that purpose, generation after generation, and nothing more than that. Why did Oyashiro-sama descend in the first place? Because demons came out of Onigafuchi's swamp and attacked people. In fact, that was the wrong interpretation. Demons didn't come out of the swamp and attack people. People became demons and attacked others when they were possessed by whatever came out of the swamp.
Whatever came out of the swamp? What do you mean by that? Whatever came out of the swamp possessed people,
Whatever came out of the swamp possessed people, crawled into their blood, controlled them, and turned them into demons. People had no resistance against whatever it was that came out of the swamps. They became demons, attacked other villagers, and turned them into demons as well.
That's right. It was a weird infectious disease that broke out of the swamp. It made the infected people go out of control. The villagers saw this disaster and explained it like so. Evil demons come out of the bottom of the swamp, possess people, and turn them into demons as well. That's the truth behind this. That's the truth of the story of the demons that came out of Onigafuji's swamp.
It actually explains the legend. So, was
It actually explains the legend. So, was Oyashiro-sama a doctor who came from a foreign country?
Yes. It's not exactly correct, but it was something like that. He came to Onigafuji and he treated the infectious disease, but he couldn't he couldn't cure it for good.
All his
treatment could do was reduce the symptoms of the infection. Villagers could have their symptoms suppressed, but there was no way to kill the parasites that had infested them. After a while, the village was divided into two groups. One that was made out of people who were already infected, and the other consisted of the people who weren't. Without a cure for the disease, the uninfected looked down on the people who could only suppress their violent symptoms. They even talked about drowning them in the swamp. But they knew killing the infected people wouldn't solve the problem. The parasites came out of the water sources, including Onigafuchi swamp. They couldn't fill them all in, for if they did that, they would lose access to their water supply. They could have chosen to leave the village, but that was hard for them, for that was the location of their ancestors' graves. Under the power of Oyashiro-sama, infected people could live without showing symptoms. So both those who were infected and those who weren't decided to live together equally and to coexist with the parasites. Oyashiro-sama was impressed by the villagers' decision. He decided to stay there and continue to treat them.
That's the true identity of Oyashiro-sama, the benefactor who stayed in the village to protect the lives of both human and demon.
That's right. And Oyashiro-sama made rules in order to ensure the symptoms of the infected people would remain suppressed. The rules were to never leave the village and to never let anybody into the village.
I understand why he didn't want to let anyone new in the village. It was to prevent the parasite from infecting anyone else, but I don't understand why he didn't want to leave. He didn't want people to leave.
It seems like the parasite can only live in Hinamizawa because of the climate here. It causes an outbreak of the symptoms in order to prevent the host from leaving the village when they try. The reaction is the truth behind the curse of Oyashiro-sama. The strongest symptoms of the infectious disease were violence and delirium. The infected people acted like demons, and the impact of seeing them in the throes of the disease was strong enough to make others describe them as such. They couldn't even let people leave who had just come to the village. If they had left after being infected, they might go crazy in a faraway land, turn them into a vicious demon, and cause a disaster. Infected people were never allowed to leave. When an infected person left the village, they brought him back by any means necessary. That's what it really meant to be demon away.
Wait a second. Dinah. That means everyone in the village, including you and I, are infected, but nothing happens when we leave Hinamizawa. In fact, many villagers move far away after getting married or something. I've never heard of any villagers who went crazy and turned into demons after they left Hinamizawa.
You're right. That's because things went as Oyashido-sama thought they would. You understand? He isolated village for a long time in order to weaken the power of the parasite. Hosts are very important for parasites. If something happens to the host, the parasites that live in the host have to share the same fate. In other words, if the host went crazy and attacked people, the host would have to be captured and killed, which means that the parasites would die with the host too.
I see. Are you talking about natural selection?
Good thinking, Katie-kun. That's exactly right. As a result of living in this village under such strict rules for a long time, people who were hypersensitive to the parasites went crazy and got killed. The strong parasites that made the infected people go crazy were also killed off due to the host's violent behaviors. As a result, parasites that acted nice to people lived on. And that's the explanation behind the mix of human and demon blood that's written in the legend of Oyashido-sama.
So that means the parasite is almost harmless now?
Yes. According to Mio-san's scrapbooks, there are actually many people who are infected by harmless parasites. It depends on local food culture. For example, about 80% of people who live in a country where meat is staple food are infected by parasites. But because the parasites coexist with humans without doing any harm to them, nobody notices them, treats them, or tries to get rid of them.
I see.
In olden times, Watanagashi was called Harawata Nagashi. In olden times, Watanagashi was called Harawata Nagashi. Harawata meaning guts. It's said the people back then used to eat the guts of infected people who went crazy. It sounds awful, but it was something they had to do.
Eating the infected people. Are you talking about a vaccine?
You're very smart, Katie-kun. Mio-san also interpreted it just like you did. In the legend, it says people cut open and ate the infected ones alive. But it actually wasn't anything gross like that. They did it in a scientific way. They created a vaccine from the infected people who died from the extremely strong parasites. And that helped uninfected villagers boost their immune system.
Who is Oyashiro-sama? A scientist? He must be from a very advanced country. Was he German? Was the true identity of Oyashiro-sama a foreign doctor who survived a shipwreck?
I think that'd be the most likely answer. He wasn't German, but he was a doctor of some sort.
It's kind of interesting to reveal the truth behind the old legends. I don't think Rina's story is too crazy to be true anymore. It sounds crazy, of course, but I've never heard any theories that explain the legend of this village better than this one. I'm infected by the parasite too, right? I feel itchy all over now.
A person is like a universe. We have countless numbers of bacteria in our bodies. Some of those bacteria are essential to us staying alive.
Oh, like bacteria in yogurt, right? I see.
This is also what Mio-san wrote in her scrapbooks. You know termites, right? They eat wood, but they actually can't digest it themselves. They have a unique bacteria that decomposes the wood fibers. As a result, the termites can absorb what they eat. That's just one example of a species coexisting with parasites.
I didn't know that. When I hear the word parasites, I feel creeped out almost instinctively. But now I know some of them aren't so bad to us.
So the weird infectious disease that broke out from Onigafuchi Swamp has been exterminated by now.
Well, I shouldn't say exterminated. I should say it's harmless now. I thought it was a crazy story for first, but now I feel like I just saw a trick behind some kind of crazy magic. It's interesting.
It is to us, but for the cold Oboyashiro-sama, this must be a very annoying theory.
Of course. If Takano-san's theory is correct, Oyashiro-sama is a god, and a punishment by that god, namely the curse of Oyashiro-sama, that people have been so afraid of, will turn out to be just been the symptoms of an infectious disease. I see. That's what dethroning God would mean. So, if the pathogen of this infectious disease was identified and announced to the public, the power of Oyashiro-sama would be completely lost.
That's right. That's what they're afraid of. Mio-san was going to identify the pathogen, and for that she was killed. So that must mean she identified it.
Maybe she did, but she's gone, and she didn't say anything about it.
Oh, maybe she did, but she's gone, and she didn't say anything about it in her scrapbooks. That's the only reason I can think of, though.
But it's the end of the 20th century. I'm sure the villagers have been examined by a lot of different medical institutions by now, right? I've never heard of anyone discovering a weird parasite like that.
I know. It's true that the pathogen hasn't been found yet. But in fact, there is evidence that there is some kind of parasite involved.
What? Really?
When a parasite enters the human body, that body's immune system cells eosinophils and macrophage try to kill the parasites. They secrete an antibody called immunoglobulin E, IgE. If the most common way of checking a person is infected by a pathogen is to look at the levels of the secretion. According to Takano's research, people from Hinamizawa have a very high level of IgE in their blood. That's not all. They also have obvious symptoms of being infected by parasites. They don't have any allergies. IgE stimulates mast cells, and they secrete histamines and serotonin as a result. These cause an allergic reaction. That allergic reaction isn't pleasant for humans, but it's necessary for the body to kill that pathogen. But the parasites don't want to be killed, of course, so they secrete substances that counteract IgE. As a result, IgE stops stimulating the receptors of the mast cells, which stops secreting the chemical compounds. As a result, the antigen-antibody reaction, namely the allergic reaction, doesn't occur. In other words, a human body that was infected by the parasite secretes a high level of IgE, but it doesn't display allergic reactions. For information, a human body that's infected by a parasite doesn't suffer from hay fever. You get hay fever due to your body secreting a large number of IgE because it's mistaken pollen for a parasitic invasion. As a result, a large amount of stimulants like histamine will be secreted, but your body cannot contain the parasite that is attempting to kill. That's why your body continues to secrete IgE as a result of the stimulants that kept causing allergic reactions. That's why hay fever works. If you have a parasite in your body, it'll deactivate your IgE and suppress the secretion of stimulants. As a result, you don't have an allergic reaction. In other words, if there is no hay fever in Hinamizawa, and you can cure hay fever by moving here. So, we haven't been able to identify the pathogen, but there's no question about its existence. Yes. Yes, that's right. But if it's there, the scrapbooks are a big threat to the believers in Oyashiro-sama. They don't identify the pathogen, but they clearly prove its existence. Yeah, it poses a big enough threat to... It poses a big enough danger to them to make them think it's worth killing Mio-san. This really is a scary secret. I believe it because you took the time to explain it to me. But if you had skipped the details and told me only the conclusion, it would have sounded too crazy to believe. I told you, I couldn't believe it at first either, so I thought you definitely wouldn't. So, what's the important thing right now? What's important right now is that there's a dangerous organization acting in the shadows to try to cover up the truth, right? Yes, that's the most important thing. The fanatics who want to revive the sanctity of the god they worship. Reviving the majesty of the god means reviving the power of that god. And the power of their god is in the infectious disease. This infectious disease can't spread nationwide, unlike other infectious diseases. So from now on, I'm gonna start calling it an endemic disease. That fits better, since it only affects this region. Anyway, the endemic disease of current-day Hinamizawa is different from the one of old times. It's been through a process of natural selection, and it's harmless now. In other words, it doesn't do any harm to human bodies. That harm was
once interpreted as a curse. A curse is a power of God. So a harmless endemic disease means that the God is powerless. That means the only way to regain the majesty of the God is to revive the curse. In other words, they want to bring back the primitive endemic disease, namely, the harmful, powerful version of the parasite. Wait a second. These fanatics want to deny the fact that their god was actually a parasite. But you're saying that they're researching the parasite? That's contradictory, isn't it?
I know it is. I think that this research is a secret that only the head of the fanatics is aware of. From the outside, they look like they're praising their god, but they actually understand its true identity, and they're trying to revive its supernatural power with their own hands.
I get it now. Oh my god, this is getting crazier and crazier.
It didn't say in the scrapbooks, but I'm suspicious of the clinic the manager owns.
The EDA clinic? Why?
The facility is too big and fancy for Hinamizawa. Mio-san was working there. The manager might be a bacteriologist for the Sonozaki family. Might be a bacteriologist the Sonozaki family recruited.
It can't be.
I think Mio-san was murdered because she knew too much. The reason why the manager hasn't been murdered yet is because he's working for the fanatics in the first place.
And he's researching the primitive form of the endemic disease. It's hard to believe that the coach, is capable of doing things like this.
I'm sorry. He might be totally irrelevant. It's just a wild guess. But someone is doing research somewhere, that much is certain. And after 5 years, the research has finally been completed. The first case was the dismemberment murder by the damn construction workers. Their quarrel had turned into a lynching. They might have had a primitive infectious disease, and the symptoms, the aggression, and the delirium might have kicked in. The victims of the second year were Sotoko's parents. There were no witnesses, so the whole event is violent mystery. But the theory is that someone might have pushed them off the cliff, since the fence of the observation deck they fell in was quite sturdy. What if one of them was infected by the primitive parasite? He or she might have become violent and pushed the other over the cliff. The Shinto priest died from a disease, and his wife drowned herself in the third year. He might have died of shock because of a hypersensitive reaction to the infection. His wife might have gone crazy and committed suicide when one of the symptoms, delirium, kicked in. In the fourth year, Hojo Satoshi's aunt was beaten to death, probably by Satoshi himself. Everybody who knew Satoshi-kun remembers how he changed at that time. He showed signs of being both aggressive and delirious. And in the fifth, for the first time in 5 years, the victim experienced the maggot disease, described in the old scrolls of the Furude shrine. The reason behind that is unclear, but the stronger the primitive parasite could have given its victims a delusion of maggots. This means that they finally managed to duplicate the curse of Oyashiro-sama after 5 years of research. Tomitake-san was the victim of the 5th year. He died in an extremely abnormal way, and I'm the only one who understands his death because I experienced the same thing. He kept clawing at his throat to get rid of the maggots and died as a result. With all that explained, I finally understand the maggot disease I experienced in Ibaraki. I left Hinamizawa, and it made the parasite in me uncomfortable. As a result, it tried to resist, even though it wasn't very strong. It tried to make me homesick. But with my parents' divorce, I grew mentally unbalanced, and I completely lost the power to resist for a period of time. The parasite was weak and harmless, but my mental instability allowed them to worsen my symptoms dramatically. As a result, I went crazy and became violent. The delusion of Oyashido-sama appearing to me in the bathroom was probably the terminal phase in my delirium. I created the supernatural existence Oyashido-sama that I was instilled with when I was little. Then I persuaded myself to go back to Hinamizawa based on that delusion. Some of the transcendents of Onigafuchi must have had the same kind of experience. They must have passed their experience down as acts of God. I remember I saw once on TV that the indigenous people of South America use some kind of natural drug in order to have a mystical experience, and they might have called it a ritual to communicate with their gods. So the fanatics are trying to do what the fanatics are trying to do is to spread the primitive parasites throughout Hinamizawa. I think that's their goal, but I don't think they'll do that without letting people know about it. Religions need ceremonies. So if they created what they wanted to create, and if they decide to spread it, I think they name it the day of Oyashido-sama's revival or something. And they perform some kind of ceremony. It would be in celebration of the revival of Oyashido-sama. That's a bad thing, isn't it? I think you can say that because they're trying to spread a very dangerous pathogen. Hey, isn't that bioterrorism? Jeez, this is very bad. They used it in Tomitake-san, confirming that they succeed in duplicating the curse of Oyashido-sama. So the day of revival might be really soon. I don't know. It could happen in a few days, or it might take a year. This is way out of your league, Lina. This is a very serious conspiracy. There's nothing we alone can do to stop them. We have to report it to police. Do you think they'll believe us?
It's their choice whether to believe us or not. No matter what, we have to tell them.
Keiichi-kun, telling Oishi-san about all this means telling him I have the scrapbooks.
Do you think that'd be a problem?
Oishi-san came to me after Mio-san was murdered. When they killed Mio-san, they found out that her scrapbooks were missing. They also know that she met me at the library a few days ago.
No way, you mean...
Yes, Oishi-san could be one of them. It's possible that Oishi-san thinks I have the scrapbooks, and he might be trying to find out. In fact, he looked very suspicious, and it seemed to me like he didn't want to tell me anything he knew. He only told me things to make me suspicious of the Sonozaki family. He could have just been trying to look like he was on my side, and that he's actually their minion.
But the police are our only hope.
Keiichi-kun, you know about the case of the fourth year, don't you? Sotoko's aunt was murdered. I believe Satoshi-kun did it, but the police fingered a drug addict as the murderer. What do you think about that?
Some of the fanatics are with the police, and they fabricated the murder?
It's the same with the autopsy of the Shinto priest, who they claim died from disease, and the inspection of the accident site where the Hojo couple died. If the police were on their side, it opens the door to many perfect crimes. The three families have been maintaining pressure on the police since the dam conflict. You heard from Mi-chan that they also have a considerable power over many organizations in Okinomiya, right?
Yeah, I have. It's not only me that told me that. Many people did. They told me that the Sonozaki family holds influence over the whole city.
That's right. You can't necessarily trust the police around here.
Hannah, please, I want to make one thing clear before we go on. Are the Sonozaki family the masterminds behind all of this? Does this mean that Mion is involved in this too? Please tell me.
I don't know if Mi-chan or Rika-chan are directly involved or not. All I can say for sure is that the fanatics have the power to control the nerve centers of all the three families, including the most powerful family of all, the Sonozakis. I'm not sure if the fanatics are controlling the three families or if the three families are the fanatics themselves.
As long as we're not sure about their involvement, it's better for us to be extra careful around them. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I'm not saying I don't trust Mi-chan. She's usually very reliable, and I'd ask for help with any problem, but not this one. This one is a little different. I don't know if you've seen it before, but although Mi-chan jokes around when she's with us, she can be a very cold person when she's acting as the successor of the Sonozaki family. Plus, even if she wasn't involved, we would put her in danger if we told her about this.
If she was on our side, that'd be really encouraging. I think we should tell her.
No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't tell her until we confirm she's not one of them. Sure, it'd be great to pull her to our side, but what if we couldn't?
So how are we gonna fight against them?
Well, this is a battle we don't stand a chance of winning to begin with. That's why I didn't want to get you involved.
Damn it! Takano-san left us with a big parting gift, didn't she?
But because of that, we know about the conspiracy. I believe this is her will.
Two kids challenging the mastermind who controls the village. This is gonna be tough. Ordinary methods won't work.
But, Keiichi-kun, I'm glad to have you on my side. We can talk about it and plan things together.
Of course. I've always been on your side, and I'm your friend.
I know. Thank you. You're very reassuring.
Two heads are better than one.
Yeah, I agree. We can come up with a plan for how we're going to fight against them together. I skipped school today because I wanted some time to read the scrapbooks again. But I'm going to go to school again tomorrow, and I'm going to act normal. They may sense something is wrong with me if I act different. You should do the same, Keiichi-kun. Please be careful with Mi-chan. She's sometimes very perceptive.
Okay. I'll act normal, as in I know nothing. But damn, I'm a bit scared. A huge conspiracy is right around the corner, and might be already be counting down to zero. It's hard to act normal knowing that.
I don't know if it's gonna happen very soon. Like I said, if they're really religious fanatics, they need a religious ceremony. They need the help of the whole village to hold something like that. I can't think of any other event other than the Watanagashi.
So you're saying that we have time until at least the next Watanagashi festival?
I can't promise, but I just can't think of any other event than that. I think we have a year at least, but I also feel like we don't because of how they killed Mio-san. I might not know, but there might be a bigger religious event than Watanagashi. It might not be long until that day. On the day of Oyashiro-sama's revival, they're gonna spread a dangerous parasite, and that day might be just around the corner.
Dana, are you still on the phone? Wrap it up soon. It's getting late.
My father stuck his head from the living room, telling me I needed to hang up soon. I thought about telling him so many times. It's natural to think your parents would be on your side no matter what. But I know how weak he can get, so I couldn't tell him. I don't think he'd believe me anyway. Even if I told him, he'd just tell me to call the police. It's better that I don't tell him. They might get close to my father to get close to my father to get me. If he didn't know anything about anything, including the scrapbooks, there'd be nothing to squeeze out of him to begin with. I'm sorry, Keiichi-kun. I have to go now. It's getting late. I'll see you at school.
Okay. See you tomorrow.
Be careful, okay? You're not an outsider anymore.
Yeah, I'll be careful. I remembered the suspicious men in the white van and felt a chill through my spine. They looked like villagers, but they weren't. They had a village accent, but they were just pretending. The more I thought about it, the more suspicious they became. It let me know that Irina and I weren't safe. Irina was right. They're just suspicious of her, and they're not sure if she has the scrapbooks or not. But it's still creepy. Irina had probably experienced the same creepiness I felt when I saw the van several times up until now. She must have sensed the danger before I do. However, the fact that they weren't attacking us, that they were merely observing us, was disturbing. If they attacked her, she could have done something, like going to the police. But all they're doing was just watching her from a distance. She can't do anything about it. She can't talk to anybody about it. She probably just wants to stay in her house all day, but if she acted different, they might take it as proof that she has the scrapbooks. We have to think about how to fight against them without making it obvious. I told myself that there's no going back, and I put the phone down. The next day, Anna came to school, acting normal like she said she would. She talked with me on as cheerfully as she always did. It made me wonder if she told me what the story she told me last night was a complete fabrication. That's because the story was real. That's because the story really was too ridiculously crazy to believe. This village has a very weird and rare endemic disease. And there are religious fanatics who want to use the disease to revive their weird cult. And they've been researching the pathogen of the endemic disease so they could spread it throughout the village. I was deeply influenced by Rena last night, and I believe everything she said. But thinking about it, with a coal mine under the bright sunlight, it sounds too crazy to be true. The story that Rena told me is based on Takuma-san's crazy hand-me-down ideas. It's based entirely on her theories, which, though very feasible, have no evidence whatsoever. The fact that Takuma-san was murdered lends to credit to the story. I'll give you that. But I looked at Mion. She was fooling around with Rena. It's hard to believe that she's involved with some kind of crazy conspiracy. Hey, are you listening, Kei-chan? What? Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention. Wake up, sleepyhead. You need to get enough sleep, or your brain stops working. Mion made fun of me for reacting too slowly. It's almost impossible not to trust this bubbly, cheerful girl. I trust Mion. I trust my friends. I know she'd never have a hand in a crazy conspiracy like that. If she knew about it, she wouldn't be able to act this cheerfully. Jenna told me not to tell Mion because she might be one of them. But it might be worth telling her without letting Irena know. Of course, there's a 1% chance that the conspiracy is true, and that Mion is one of them. If so, I'd be doomed. But I had to choose between believing the crazy conspiracy theory and trusting my friends. My answer would be obvious. I know that my friend Mion isn't a part of any conspiracy. She'd never be involved with something like that. Even if the conspiracy exists, I'm sure Mion would be on our side. So whether or not it's true, it must be worth telling Mion about it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Telling time. What's going on, Kei-chan? Why did you call me out here? You told me not to tell anybody. You're not going to extort money from me, are you? Is that the first thing you think about? Is that the first thing you think when you're called out to the gymnasium storeroom? Oh, I know. You want to give me a love letter, don't you? People usually use a shoe locker for that, you know. We don't really do that in the city. A lot of guys hand over their love letters in person. Really? So, wait, are you kidding me? That's not why I called you here. I have to talk to you about something very important. I want you to listen without making fun of me. What is it? Do you know that there are people who want to revive the cult of Yashiro-sama? Huh? What? What are you talking about? This, of course, was my way of getting a feel of the situation. I just wanted to see how she was going to react by getting straight to the point. But Mion really did look puzzled. People wouldn't normally react like this if someone pointed out their secrets out of the blue. They always panic, if only just a little. Either Mion was a brilliant actress, or she really didn't have anything to do with the idea of reviving Oyashiro-sama. I decided to tell her everything. Mion, your family, the Sonozaki family, has a lot of influence in this region, including Hinamizawa, right? You think there's a possibility that they're working to revive the cult of Oyashiro-sama behind the scenes. Revive? Why? Well, you know, people today don't worship Oyashiro-sama like the people in the old days did. So people like fundamentalists might be trying to make people worship Oyashiro-sama in the same way as people of Onigafuchi. What? Wait a second. I have no idea what you're talking about. Are you sure? You really don't have any idea what I'm talking about? Of course I don't. Sounds like one of those popular novels that sold 5 million copies over in America. Milan's reaction was very natural. It seemed impossible that she was pretending she didn't know anything about it. Regardless, I continued. Well, there are people like that in this village for real. You don't know anything about them? You're saying that those people want to make us worship Oyashiro-sama like the people of Onikafuchi did? What good would that do? You know, I think it means a lot to people who really believe. But think about it, Kei-chan. We'd be happy to live under those strict ancient rules. In this day and age, it's almost impossible to live without leaving the village. But for example, think about Rika-chan. All people say she's a reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama, right? Those people might be religious fanatics, and are you talking about old man Kimiyoshi? Well, I know he's a deeply religious man for sure, but he isn't a fanatic. Believe me, there are people trying to revive the cult of Oyashiro-sama. Okay, I believe you for now, because I want to hear the rest. Go on. They found out the curse of Oyashiro-sama was just an endemic disease, unique to the village, so they're now researching the pathogen. Where? First of all, what's an endemic disease? What's a pathogen? It sounds gross. I was getting confused. I didn't know what I was talking about myself anymore. I was deeply influenced by Rina last night, and I believe everything she said. But having said all of that out loud, I realized how impossible the story sounded. What's going on with you? Did Mio-san tell you all of this? How did you know? She's infamous for this kind of thing. She's an occult maniac. She always makes up crazy stories. A few people have gotten badly taken in by her before. She told me some of her stories. She told me some of her stories, and I remember they were usually interesting. Is that true? I think you've heard about this once or twice before, but this village had a unique culture back in the old days. They did a lot of oppressive things, like having strict rules, very strict punishments, and a bunch of cruel traditions. They were well known among occult maniacs. Wait, ちょっと待ってにゃちょっと待って、give me a few moments. Miyo-san is one of them. So the story I heard about the weird parasite that controls the village was... What? Parasite? Is that a new story she came up with? What do you mean, new story? I told you, Miyo-san is an occult maniac. She studies the weird legends surrounding Onigafuchi and enjoys making up hypotheses, theories, and wild stories about them. She created a lot of different ones, aside from that theory that parasites are controlling the village. One I heard an awful while back was about UFOs. That one was interesting since it connected a lot of the dots. The story was about a UFO that crashed into Onigafuchi swamp long ago. The alien was in the UFO and the villagers had a battle, or something like that. It's like one of those sci-fi horror B movies. The one Satoko heard was a theory about creatures from the bottom of the ocean. A movement in the Earth crust opened up a connection between that underwater world and Onigafuchi, and the princess of the water world fell in love with a young man in the village. It was like a sci-fi version of Romeo and Juliet. The story about the parasites that you heard must be a new one. I hope she makes them in a book one day. Yoon started laughing so hard that she had to hold her stomach. As I looked at her laughing, I realized I fell for something that ridiculous. At that point, it was obvious. I'd been completely taken in. I'm sorry, Mion. Please answer my questions. First, do you believe fanatics are trying to revive the cult of Oyashiro-sama? That Oyashiro-sama exists? No, they don't. It's solely the opposite. The three families have agreed to open Hinamizawa to outsiders in order to make this village thrive. I'm not supposed to tell anyone about this, but there is a project to build a new highway by the end of the 20th century. The Sonozaki family is promoting its construction without informing the villagers. If all goes well, this village will flourish. My grandma's betting she'll make a fortune when it causes land prices in the region to skyrocket. Well, most of the work will happen in the 21st century, so I'll likely end up taking over the project. So, you don't think there are people who hate outsiders? I told you, there's no such people. What makes you think we want this? What makes you think we want to make this village more inconvenient than it already is? In fact, we've already started selling the land of the village to rich people who want to build country residences out here. Your house is the first land we sold, Kei-chan. Did the villagers welcome you? The three families are trying to do everything they can to stop young people from leaving the village. There is nothing vague about what Mion had said. Her story makes a lot more sense than Takano-san's delusional theories. And so Mion's words woke me up from that delusion. So what about this? I heard the residents of Hinamizawa have extraordinary high levels of something in their blood. And it proves that they're infected by parasites. Really? How did Mio-san figure that out? Takano-san's a nurse. I'm sure she can do that. And you think anyone can get blood samples for no reason? Cause I sure don't. Even if she could get blood samples somehow, how and where would she examine them? And how many blood samples do you think she examined all by herself? Mion was right. I couldn't believe that I thought Takano-san could do all of that, just because she was a nurse. It struck me hard to believe that she got that many blood samples and did a high level examination like that without any help. When I thought about it rationally, I should have believed such a ridiculous story like so easily. I heard people here don't get hay fever, which is proof of their being infected by parasites. Only people in cities get hay fever. I heard it has something to do with fuel emissions. Kei-chan, you're talking about Hinamizawa. I mean, even people in Okinomiya don't get hay fever, I think. Well, how about this? I heard the Sonozaki family has a death squad and that they kidnapped the grandson of a government minister once. That sounds so cool. I wish I had a squad like that. Even I was sounding ridiculous. But I believed it all last night. I believe it because Rina looks very serious. It's true that the grandson of a minister was found in Takatsuto. We didn't do it. We just acted like we did. What do you mean? Please explain. Okay. The Onigafuchi Guardians protested violently during the Jam conflict. They did something close to terrorism as well. But there are people who use the resistance movement for their own benefits. They used the name of Onigafuchi Guardians to rob people of money and valuables. The Onigafuchi Guardians were a very aggressive force at the time. There's a high possibility that some people thought they could use your name to extort money. The kidnapping case was one of those incidents. The kidnappers thought that they could stifle the police investigation by acting like they were the Onigafuchi Guardians. They kidnapped the boy and demanded a ransom. To tell you the truth, the member of the Onigafuchi Guardians were all very surprised. They were actually impressed that those guys actually pulled it off. I remember they even said that they gave them a reward. Wait a second. So the Onigafuchi Guardians had nothing to do with the kidnapping? No, not at all. Mion-san said it firmly. It was a simple and clear answer, which left no room for suspicion. And thinking about it, it's nothing surprising. The grandson of a minister and negotiating with him in person is a huge deal. The Onigafuchi Guardians were a very aggressive group, but this operation wasn't so easy that it could be carried out by any of the normal residents of Hinamizawa. It was obviously the work of professional criminals without a doubt. Like I said earlier, the Sonozaki family acted as if we were the masterminds of the kidnapping case. What do you mean by that? This is a secret precept of the Sonozaki family. You can't tell anyone about this, okay? When an incident like this happens, we traditionally act as if we're responsible for it. It's a traditional bluffing. Bluffing? Really? Yeah. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it works out in our favor. It can be an criminal incident, the weather, or even louder numbers. If we act as if something happened because the Sonozaki family wanted it to, happen. It starts to sound like we're a very powerful organization, doesn't it? That's the point. This is a secret strategy that only the Sonozaki family head knows about. This is a strategy that is meant to make us look bigger and stronger than what we really are. Wow, so what about the plan they had during the dam conflict? The one to attack the Ministry of Construction. Was that true? I heard they obtained weapons and even trained for it. that was the spin we put on it. There's no way we could actually pull a crazy plan like that. Our real goal was to make people believe that we were capable of doing things like that, so we could exert pressure on the government. That's all. obtained weapons and went through training so they could exact pressure. They had no intention of actually carrying out the plan. The Sonozaki family was just bluffing. That made sense. Of course it did. It's impossible to attack the Ministry of Construction. Even if they did, it wouldn't solve the problem. All I had to do was use common sense. Even if they did, they would have been crushed within seconds by a huge number of policemen. Why didn't I think of that? What about the weapons and the training? As for the weapons, no comment. But we did go through training. We needed to do that in order to make the bluff look real. We gathered some younger men from my father's office and appointed Kasai-san as leader. We went to a desert in Texas, played war games with some instructors, and went sightseeing in San Francisco afterwards. So, I couldn't think of anything else. It was obvious now. No, Ren and I both were completely fooled by the scrapbooks of Takano-san's delusions. And I was so serious about it, so I believed her. But if you examine it closely, there's so many inconsistencies. I couldn't believe Rina took a delusion like that so seriously. I know the reason why, though. She was still in a state of shock after being caught with the corpses that day. She was mentally unstable. She then came across this tale and she believed it. Nina's a smart girl. She wouldn't have taken it seriously if she was stable. Plus another thing happened to wake me up from the delusion. The white band I saw yesterday came to school during lunch break. The four men in uniforms I saw were there too. I said thank you to Mion and followed them. The man who talked to me yesterday knocked on the door of the teacher's office. Oh, I'm from the Okonogi Gardeners. Oh, thank you for coming. It's very hot today, isn't it? It sure is. By the way, you look very beautiful today, as always. Thank you. Well, you can start whenever you're ready. Yes, we'll start right away. My account manager told me to give this to you. The quote in the invoice. I see. The date on the left. The date is left blank for both of them. Well, there shouldn't be any problem. Thank you so much. Alright, we'll start right away. The man was talking to Chie-san sensei with a big smile. Huh? What are you doing here, my Barakun? Oh, principal, who's that guy? The principal pointed his finger at the window. When I looked out, I heard the noise of the engine starting. The noise was coming out of a motorized lawnmower. I saw a young man in work uniforms taking another lawnmower, some brooms, and a ladder out of the van. Dear gardeners, we haven't taken care of the grass around the fence and the trees for a long time. I wanted to clean them up before summer. Mr. Principal, thank you for giving us a call. The man looked, noticed the principal, took off his hat, and bowed. No need, I trust your work. Please take care of things. I think we can finish it today. We might make a lot of noise, though. Each worker took one of the tools and walked towards the fence where the grass was growing. The engine of the lawnmower was very loud, and the kids who were playing in the schoolyard looked at it in curiosity. Hey, it's dangerous out here. Go back to your classroom, was Chie-sensei. She handed the principal with the documents it to the principal. I said Okonoki gardeners in green in the envelope. Principal, please sign the invoice and drop it at their office next time you go to the town hall. Of course, will do. Oh, Chie-sensei, did they come here yesterday? Yes, they came here to look at the grass in the afternoon. They told me they got lost on the way back because they tried to take a shortcut. This village has a lot of small roads branching off everywhere, and they can be very confusing. I remember when I first came here, Chie-sensei started talking about when she got lost, and they laughed together. There was never anything suspicious to begin with. I thought they were suspicious yesterday because of what Rina told me. At first, I thought it was unusual to see a white van. But then, right after I heard her creepy story, I saw a white van parked on the road and I got scared. The gardeners weren't familiar with the roads of Hinomizawa, and they got lost trying to take a shortcut on their way back. That's all. I had it totally twisted around. I believe a fake sounding story. I believe that the Sonozaki family was working behind the scenes. I fabricated the existence of a group of fanatical believers in my mind. Worse, I doubted Mion. Damn it, I'm such a fool. She's my friend. We took each other's hands that day, saying that we were a family made of friends, and that friends were friends no matter what. I said that, but then I doubted my friend. I'm so stupid. Anyway, neither was the problem. She needed to wake up from this crazy delusion. I had to hurry and wake her up. Rina seemed like she had no mind to listen to anyone else. She truly believes that the Sonozaki family are masterminds of a large-scale conspiracy.
I remember the plate number of the white van, and I also remember their faces. Without a doubt, this was one of the vans that have been following me. So far, I've confirmed that 3 or 4 cars have been following me. I could especially recall this white van because it followed me around the longest of all. The people who are in the other cars must be the lookout, and the ones in the van must be tasked with direct contact, like kidnapping or assassination. The lookouts secure the surroundings, and the ones in this van attack the target. There's a common maneuver involved in both kidnapping and assassination. The scrapbooks say that too. So I better watch out because it was them, not the lookouts, who came to the school premises. I don't think they'll attack me while I'm at school. They're in the early stages of their covert operation now, hiding their fangs and claws until the last stage of their horrifying scheme. That's why they won't take action in the school where people are watching. But I looked like they were talking with Tie-sensei in a very friendly way. I could only hear bits and pieces of their conversation, but it sounded very suspicious. I tried to remember the chatter and movements of their mouths, and I played the memory of it like a videotape in my mind. Hello. Oh, thank you for coming. It's very hot today, isn't it? It's sure. Thank you. You can start whenever you're ready. Yes, we'll start right away. My account manager gave this to you. Told me to give this to you. And I see. It's not enough. Well, there shouldn't be any problem. Thank you so much. Alright, well, I used the information to guess
what was going on. I played the video again over and over again in my mind, and I paused it and played it in slow motion to check many times. Then something unbelievably horrifying started to emerge. There's no doubt they were acquainted with Chie-sensei, but I've never seen them visit the school before. It's hard to believe that Chie-sensei is their contact. There's no doubt that they're the death squad under the control of the Sonozaki family. They have a local accent which proves that they're chosen from the Sonozaki core. The death squad was talking to Chie-sensei. They know each other. What's their relationship? Who's Chie-sensei anyway? During the damn conflict, Inamizawa school was closed and it was merged with the one in Okinomiya. But the Onigafuchi Guardians didn't accept that. And they made part of the forestry service building into a school. But needless to say, the school they made didn't have a teacher. So it was only going to be a token form of resistance. But a teacher who had a strong passion for education felt sorry for the children, and she came to work here. That was Chie Rumiko Sensei. It was obviously strange. Teachers are government employees, and they normally belong to their prefectures. As long as they lay low and don't cause any trouble, they don't get fired and they don't get demoted. They can work up until the official retirement age, and they're guaranteed to get a fixed retirement fund. She was one of those government employees, but she defied the Board of Education and came to work in Hinamizawa. The villagers admire her as a teacher of passion. I heard from Sonozaki Audio herself successfully negotiated with the Board of Education that suspended Chie-sensei for defying their orders. It was easy to get an answer from connecting the dots. Chie-sensei was recruited by Sonozaki Audio as a teacher to work at the school of the Onigafuchi Guardians had created. In other words, she was already working for Audio before she came in. As for the principal, he was the principal of the school in Hinamizawa from the beginning. He was a respected person of the region, and he's been closely associated with the three families for a long time. So that means this school has been under the control of the Sonozaki family all along. That's why Chie-sensei is acquainted with the death squad. It makes sense now. Chie-sensei confirmed that I came to school today, made a phone call, and called them here. I don't want to know why she called them here. If she called them just to monitor me, they'd wait near the gate until class was over. But they came into the school premises. Why? Stop pretending to be a fool, Ryugurena. You think nothing will happen if you pretend not to notice it? Think hard and calm down, Ryugurena. What will they try to do to me today in school? In school? How are they gonna do anything with my classmates and friends around me? It's easy. Chie-sensei will tell me to come to the teacher's office during the last class of the day. What about my classmates? That's easy too. Chie-sensei can easily make them go home early using her authority as a teacher. She can make up any reasons she wants. Maybe the classroom is going to have the carpentry work done today, so they can't stay in school. It sure is. Today. Thank you. You can start wherever you're ready.
See, there's no doubt. They really said they're gonna really do it today. And what else? Yes, we're gonna start today. My manager account gave this to you. I see. Is left blank on. Well, there shouldn't be any problem. Thank you so much. I see. They gave Tia-sensei an envelope with the documents in it. That blank is an eerie phrase. Was my name supposed to be in the blank? Why was it left blank? What does it mean? I told you, Ryuko-rena. Do you still think that noticing will happen if you pretend not to notice it? Stop that. So, what it must mean is that it's an order from higher up. It says to make Ryuko-rena become blank. I took a peek from the shadows, and I saw the principal taking documents out of the print envelope. He started reading them. He looked stern. He looked serious. I wish I could take a peek at the documents, but I was too far away. I kept looking at him, just to see if he'd react at all. And then the envelope caught my eye. The envelope said Okonogi gardeners, and it had some numbers that looked like a phone number. Fortunately, I have good eyesight. I memorized the number. If they're a death squad, the gardening company must be a camouflage occupation. It probably doesn't exist. I wanted to find out. I looked for a phone. There's only one phone, and it's in the teacher's office. Fortunately, the teachers were chatting in the hallway, looking at the gardeners. It was now or never. I made sure nobody was watching me go into the teacher's office. I rushed in and grabbed the phone on the principal's desk. I went over the phone in my head and dialed it up. I'm glad they have a touch tone phone. It would have been difficult if it was a rotary phone. If somebody answered, I'd only have to ask, is this the Okonogi gardeners? I'd wait for an answer before hanging up. It should be easy. It's connected. I don't know at all there. I felt a cold chill run through my body from the bottom of my feet. Wait, don't make a quick judgment. I might have remembered the number wrong. No, I remembered it right. It's an easy number to remember. It's impossible to get it wrong. Then, did I dial it wrong? I dialed the phone number and started over. This time, I dialed the number more slowly. The teachers might be coming back in any time. In that situation, it was risky to do anything slowly, but I needed to be absolutely sure. The number you dialed is... It's the same. There's no doubt. The company Okonogi Gardeners doesn't exist. It's just a camouflage occupation for the Sodozaki family death squad. Please make sure the number you dialed is correct. The number you dialed is? I was too stunned to put down the receiver. The announcement was kept running over and over again. The voice was cold and creepy. I hung up the phone and rushed into the teacher's office. I ran into the bathroom and held my head in an attempt to cool down. Calm down, Rena. Calm down, Ryuko-rena. Stay cool. Ryuko-rena. I wasn't safe here anymore. If I stayed here, I might be erased, even in the open. They'd erase me? Why? They aren't certain that I have the scrapbooks? I told Chichi-kun where I hid the scrapbooks. Yesterday I told him I hid them in my hideout in the garbage dump. Is Keiichi-kun in cahoots with the Sonozaki family? I felt as if my head was a pot that was cooking some dubious stew. There was always soup in my brain. I cut the clues, cut information and facts, just like I cut vegetables and threw them into the pot. Some of them were floating on the surface, and others were in the bottom of the pot. They were being cooked in a boiling soup. No, it can't be. Keiichi-kun's on my side. He's the only one on my side. He held out his hand to me at the trash piles. There was no lie in that hand. When he grabbed my wrist, I felt nothing but his strong and pure heart. He promised he'd be on my side. I shouldn't doubt Keiichi-kun. He's the only one I should trust. He's the only one who's on my side now. I'm sorry, Keiichi-kun. I was about to doubt you. I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. I said it out loud on purpose, full of regret that I doubted Keiichi-kun, the only one who was on my side. When I think about it, whether I have the scrapbooks or not might not matter to them. Erase anyone who is suspicious. That's the safest way. Does that mean they're in a hurry? The day of Oyashiro-sama's revival must be around the corner, and that's why they're trying to get rid of any small fish bones that are stuck in the throat by any means before it's too late. We don't need her anymore. Just erase her if you're worried so much. I could easily picture Sonozaki Urio saying that. Picture? Oh, she did say that. That's why they're here today. What should I do? Should I wait until school's over? I was like a fish in a pond. No matter how many times I escaped the net, I was in the pond, and they won the pond. I didn't stand a chance. Then what should I do? I couldn't stop escaping from the net. I couldn't keep escaping from the net. I should get out of the pond. I didn't know how to fight them. I didn't know who was on my side. I was about to give up in despair. For now, I'd have to think about how to survive this. So I'd at least have time to think about how to fight against them. I have to get out of this pond. When I was about to leave the bathroom, one of my classmates came in. I pretended to be sick and talked to the girl while leaning on the wall. I don't feel so good. I think I better go home. Can you tell Chie-sensei I left school early? I should let Chie-sensei know that I'm leaving school early if I'm trying to run away from them. But if I didn't, they might think I ran away without cause. That might lead them to chase me without mercy. If that happens, I don't stand a chance. They were planning to capture me after school is over, but I happened to feel sick and left school early. If they do it that way, they wouldn't think that I had noticed the noose tightening around me. I was about to go back to the classroom and get my bag, but I changed my mind and turned around. I didn't need my bag anymore. I realized nobody was watching me, so I stopped pretending to be sick and started running. Chie-sensei, take a look at this. Take a look? Is there something wrong with the document? Yes, the date and the date on the code and the invoice are left blank. There's supposed to be today's date here. Oh, they wanted to leave it blank. They said they couldn't put the same date on the code and the invoice. They told me they're told to leave them blank by general affairs. Okay then. And this, the
phone number on the invoice is different from the one on the envelope. Do you know which one is the correct one? Oh, I didn't notice that. Oh, excuse me. Yes, what's the matter? The phone number on the invoice is different from the phone on the envelope. Which one is correct? Oh, it's the one on the invoice. I used the old envelope we used on our former office. I'm sorry about that. I told our part-timer to add a stamp with the new phone number, but I guess she forgot. I apologize for the confusion. Can you erase the number? Can you just erase the number? Wow. Wow. Okay. Wait, what was what was the hold on. What was the achievement? The achievement was fish in a pond. Make the decision to run. Okay. Let's look at our new tips for today. Lunch takeout. List number 3. The danger of a culture-bound syndrome lies in the fact that it can easily trigger delusional misidentification syndrome. That is to say, in the current cage, every time the person sees something trivial, she tries to interpret as a curse. It is believed that as a result of the accumulation of these events, it's believed that as a result of the accumulation of these events in an understandable form, a delusion system is created, ultimately leading to paranoia. Furthermore, the patient is also exhibiting slight signs of personality disorder. Of course, it's at a very mild level, and it's not causing hindrance whatsoever to the patient's daily life. It's common for even healthy patients to have primary delusions in their daily life, but they usually ignore it and automatically without recognition, since those delusions are nonsensical. However, there are cases where these delusions accumulate despite being incomprehensible. It largely depends on the particular characteristics of the individual, and it is believed that the patient shows relatively strong characteristics in this area. I believe that you're very much aware that primary delusions are categorized in three different kinds. Delusional mood. Delusional mood is the kind of impending crisis without basis. Delusional intuition is the feeling of a sense of duty or goal without basis. Delusional perception is a feeling of a baseless cause against a baseless target. In the patient's case, it is believed that these incomprehensible delusions acted out simultaneously with the culture-bound syndrome, which triggered a delusional misidentification syndrome, and it ultimately caused the incomprehensible delusion to become understandable by interpreting them as a curse. The comprehensible delusional system induces understandable secondary delusions, further strengthening the patient's delusional system with the passage of time. The delusional parasitosis mentioned earlier can be considered a secondary delusion. A common factor of all cases of paranoia is that even after an outbreak, they still appear perfectly normal with no change in their personalities. The patients are unaware of their ailments, and due to their personal interpretations of their delusional system, there are many cases where patients arm themselves logically, making extremely difficult for a third party to point out that they're having a delusion. Furthermore, although it may depend on the tendency of the delusions, there are also cases where a persecutory delusion turns into a pursuit delusion or conspiracy delusion, resulting in the patient creating an imaginary enemy and taking up as antisocial behavior. For example, there are cases where believers of a religious cult were deeply influenced by the cult's founders' paranoid visions, which shifted the group into a conspiracy delusion that made them conduct antisocial behavior in the name of self-defense. Although no such cases have been reported in Japan yet, it could very well happen in the near future. Fortunately, the patient hasn't reached that serious condition as of now. With proper treatment, she should be able to make a full recovery. Please make sure that her father also understands that this is not an unusual case, but something caused by an accumulation of a number of innocent factors that anyone could have. The patient can be treated only by deepening her bond with her father. As long as she has that bond, she can certainly be treated. For the reasons above, the patient is to return to her home village. I strongly recommend that the patient continue to receive guidance from specialized medical institutions. Please excuse me for writing such a long letter. Thank you for reading this until the very end. Oh, okay. Okay. That was chapter 9! Chapter 9 でした. Whee! Okay. We made it to chapter 9. I'm glad we were able to do 2 chapters today. Chapter 8 wasn't that long, but chapter 9 was a lot longer. And I managed to make it to the end. So yay! Yay! Okay. Okie dokie. So anyways, thank you so much for coming to this Higurashi no Naku Koro ni Tsumihoroboshi stream. Arigato nya. Let me think about this. I think by next week, not next week, probably the following week. Maybe the following week I'll finish I can finish Higurashi Tsumihoroboshi. But I guess it also depends on how Yuki's throat ends up. It always ends up like that. So we'll see what happens. But at least we were able to get to chapter 9. I'm glad I was able to. Yeah, yesterday I wasn't feeling that great. But today, luckily, I felt better enough to do two chapters today. So yeah. Before we end it today, let's talk about the schedule for the rest of this week. So tomorrow Yuki won't have any stream. Right now there is no plan of a stream, but if there is any changes to that, check Yuki's socials onegai nya. Because if there is a change to that, then Yuki might end up having a stream. But just check Yuki's socials just in case. Yuki does decide to stream today or tomorrow. But on Friday, Yuki will be streaming. Yuki will have collab stream with Drew and Ikun playing Phasmo, and then on Saturday, Yuki will be playing Silent Hill F. The Phasmo collab stream will be at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. The what do you call it? The oh, the Silent Hill of stream will be tomorrow at or no, sorry, the Silent Hill stream on Saturday will be at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. はい、はい、明日に、日暮らし、明日に配信がないけど、ゲリラ配信があれば、ユキの SNS をチェックしてにゃー。日曜日、土曜日に、ルお姉さんと、A 君と、パズモフォビアのコラボを配信するにゃー。この配信は、11時半日本時間。日曜日はい、日曜日に、サイレントヒール F を配信するにゃ。この配信は、10時半日本時間。わ、忘れた。はいはいはい。But yeah, we'll end it for today, I think. I think, I think we might be able to raid, maybe. Let me check first, because I might raid, but I just wanna check to make sure first. Okay, I think I will raid today. There we go. Okay. So where is this new raid we're gonna do today? Well, it's not gonna be a new raid. It's more of a Nippon raid. Hoshi. Okay. Okay. We'll be doing a we're gonna be doing a raid, a Higurashi raid today. We'll be raiding a twin or Fun Fangs, who is also playing Higurashi though. Looks like Fun Friends is playing the second game, Watanagashi Hen. So yeah, so if you have Yuki's emotes, please use this Nya raid. If you don't have Yuki's emotes, please use this Nya raid. Okie dokie. So anyways, thank you so much for coming to Yuki's Higurashi stream. Arigato nyo. Let me just make sure I type this correctly. Oh, hi. これでいいですか? I think so. Okay. Hi. So anyways, thank you so much for coming to Yuki's Higurashi stream. Arigato nya. Yuki hopes to see you on Friday or maybe tomorrow. But yeah, check Yuki's socials for any updates. So anyways, otsu nya. Bye bye.